Namaste, everyone. I'm honored to kickstart our video series of Flames of Enlightenment. As part of these series, we will be inviting guests from our community to share their thoughts, their vision, and their motivation and enlighten us on how we can keep this flame going forward. As part of our first series, we are very honored to have Dr. Chari here. So, Dr. Chari, Uncle, welcome. Please do share a little bit for the others who don't know about you.
Namaste, Namaskar, Vanakkam to the entire community. My name is Varadarajan Chari. Everybody calls me Vaddu Chari. I am a professor of economics at the University of Minnesota, and I have been a lifetime trustee. I'm now a lifetime trustee of the Hindu Society of Minnesota.
So, Uncle, thank you. Very esteemed. I hear quite a bit about you as the professor of economics. But I also want to understand what was your motivation? What was the spark to get engaged in the community?
So I grew up in a very orthodox South Indian Brahmin household. I come from a generation upon generation of Vedic scholars who were very religious, very ritualistic, and very naturally, I grew up to be quite anti-religious. I blamed my religion, Hinduism, for all the social ills that we had in India, the domination of caste, discrimination, and so on. And at the same time, I loved our culture. I loved our music, our festivals, our rituals, our food. All of that I thought was very important. And so when I came to the US, I was conflicted between those. So we sent our children to the Hindu Mandir camp because I thought the heritage was really important. And then two things happened which changed a lot of things in my life. The first thing is that my father, whom I admired a great deal and who, as I said, was very religious, died in the fall of 2000. The second thing that happened is that is 9/11. I was at a party at a friend's house shortly after 9/11, and I held forth, as I'm wont to do, and I said, you know, the reason 9/11 happened was because moderate Muslims did not take charge of their religion. And if only they had. And so my friend, best friend, asked me in a cutting kind of fashion in Tamil, but I'll just say it in English, and what exactly are you doing about it? That hit home. Fortunately for me, about that time, the Hindu Society of Minnesota was thinking about building a new temple in Maple Grove. And I still remember a famous meeting in Dunkin' Donuts where a group of us resolved to do that. And that dates to our involvement in the Hindu Mandir. That was roughly 25 years ago, almost 25 years ago today. And it's been a wonderful ride since.
Wow, 25 years. I've been just engaged for 5 years, so there's so much to learn from you. So, as part of the engagement, what was your role? Did you bring what you had from your education into the temple, or religion, culture? What was your role that you played here?
So, what the community decided was, because I'm a professor of economics, that I'd be the person who'd think about finance and fundraising. And so I served as chair of the finance committee, chair of the fundraising committee. I served as vice chair for 4 years. My wife served as president of the executive committee, and then subsequently as chair of the TEC. So both of us have been very heavily involved in these activities for the last 25 years. My philosophy in being involved with these committees was actually a very simple one. I still say the same thing to all the chairs of all the committees. Your job is not to get things done. Your job is to get people to get things done. That is, your job is to build a team. And, the finance committee, I'd like to think fondly that in a way, all the people who've handled finance are sort of my students. I've sort of tried very hard to build a team and to set up procedures in a very transparent way to make sure that that no financial accidents happen, to make sure that everybody knows what the history of finance is. In terms of fundraising, we've done the same sort of thing. When we built this temple, subsequently the entire structure and everything else cost over $8 million. In today's dollars, that's almost $14 million.
Wow.
And so we had to raise that kind of money. And the amazing thing about this community, it's just wonderful. When the need is there, they spring into action. So all I had to do was to hold meeting after meeting, explain to people what the need was, what we would be doing with the money, and the money just poured in. And our goal when we started construction of the temple was that 12 years from then, this is 2018, we'd be essentially debt-free. And we pretty much accomplished that goal.
Yes.
Then subsequently we've built the Gundicha Gar, then the staff quarters. Now we are in the process of building a cultural and education center. We're going to spend a lot of money, but I have full confidence in this community that we will raise the funds needed in order for this community to grow and flourish.
That is such an amazing involvement. Thank you so much for sharing. What would be your advice for our next generation? You mentioned the Cultural Arts Center, but how else can the next generation be more involved and keep this alive for us?
There are a bunch of specific projects that we need completed. We need a cultural center. We probably also need a community center. We need to build senior housing, all in the land that we own, roughly 60 acres that we own. And we have an ambitious master plan to do all of this. But that's in terms of detail. But I want to step back for a minute. For me, the main message of our religious traditions is a simple one. What are you put in this world for is the question that everybody wants to ask. And our tradition offers one answer to that. You are put into this world to serve others. Service is the highest form of devotion that you can pay to the Almighty. Why? Because how do you serve the Almighty, which is what we're called upon to do? What does it take? Well, in our religious tradition, we see the divine in every one of us. Every one of us contains the divine. Therefore, by serving your fellow human beings, you are serving the divine. It is the best way of doing it. What does this service mean? I don't mean service in this context to be charity. No. It means treating everybody with professionalism and respect and honesty and integrity. That means that if you're providing a service or a good, if you're teaching students like I do, you have an obligation to serve them. That is, to teach them in the best way you can. If you're in the business of making shoes for others, make the best shoes you can, sell them at a fair price. That is service. That's how we serve each other. Who do we serve? You always start with your family, then your extended family, then your community, and then move on to the entire world. Serve those whom you know, whom you understand, so that you understand what they need and you can perform those services most efficiently. Do not equate service with charity. But if you start from this purpose, from this idea that your objective is to serve people and to serve the community, your job in this community is to find out what the community wants. Don't think of it as, what do I want? I want a cultural center. No. What you want is what the community wants. If the community wants a cultural center, you have an obligation to do all you can to provide that for the community. So my message to all the young leaders is, first discern what the people you're trying to serve want, then serve them in the most effective, efficient, compassionate, honest, professional way you can. And that will ensure that you have led a full, productive life. And I hope to continue doing that for the rest of my life. And I hope that the generations to come will take on that same philosophy of service to the community as the sole reason for a productive existence.
That is, thank you so much for the advice, Dr. Chari. I think with this, we close our series. Thank you. It was amazing what you said, your journey, your involvement. The nugget for us to take away is service to others is very important. So those who are viewing, I hope you recognize and take a little bit of this advice, serve to others. Please do come and engage in the community. Thank you very much. With this, we wrap up. Until next time, namaste.
Namaste.